Good evening and welcome to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Mado, and of course I'm very happy to be here as always to bring you up to speed with the latest happening revolving around the world of sports. Top owner menu this evening: Nigeria D Tigers bow out of Paris 2024 Olympic qualifiers, and coming in from tennis, Onjaba wins first match since Wimbledon final. In football, England reached first Women's World Cup final. These and many more will be yours after this short time out. Please stay with us.
Greenwood's went for goal. Goalkeeper missed it. Playing again. Fight for him. He does a right hand and down goes the ball straight away. So now this is when you're at the best. It's when you're 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to New Zealand. What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what
I have fought very firmly. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Of course, today's edition of the show promises to be very, very exciting. And joining me on today's edition of the show is a man you know so well, Emmanuel Michael. Good evening to you, and welcome to Sports Extraordinary, Michael.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to our viewers.
All right, let's quickly start the show with basketball. We've all heard of the sad news, of course. for Nigerian D Tigers. They lost to Mali in their second game in the Paris 2024, qualifiers, and that was after they lost to Senegal. Was really an impressive display from them from the first, second, and third quarter, but in the fourth quarter, they lost it in that particular one, and it ended 77 to 68 in favor of the Malians. What could be the reason for this abysmal outing for the Nigerian D Tigers?
I think first I want to say that complacency is setting in the last quarter, because they were up and doing in the first, second, and third quarter. It's just that the last quarter they were unable to keep up that tempo, because in the first quarter they had 17 against 15. That is 2 points. In the second quarter they had 26 against 23. That is the last quarter. The third quarter, they had 18 against 15. So in all of this, they had 8 points heading into the last quarter, talking about the, fourth quarter. And one should have expected them, to continue in that momentum heading to the last quarter. But unfortunately, like I said earlier, I think complacency, I would say, is setting in the last quarter. That is why they were unable to replicate that form that, brought them that far. And they just allowed the Malians to dominate the last quarter, make it look as though they just went there for jamboree. And to my greatest surprise, the last quarter, the Malians dominated 16 points against 0. And at the end of it all, it ended that way. So for me, I was quite disappointed, with their performances yesterday, because taking a look at their first game against the Senegalese, where they lost the first game, you say, fine, of course, that is the first game. Maybe they have not yet settled down. But you expected them to, come out blistering in the second game, because knowing quite well that that game was a make or a mark game, and unfortunately, they lost that second one. And what it automatically means now is that the hope for we qualifying for, next year's, Olympic game, it has been dashed. As it stands right now, I think it's a quite disappointing one. At a time where the D Tigers did us so proud, and we thought that maybe the D Tigers will follow suit in that line by also picking the ticket for the forthcoming Olympic in 2024. But disappointingly, they did not do that. Well, you can also attribute that to also the preparation heading into that one. They do not have much good preparation before heading into that. And again, the players that were selected to go and represent us in this very one, majority of our NBA stars were ostensibly not seen in that squad. Just one or two of them that were included in the squad. And this boils down to what happened last time, where they were unable to make up with some of the NBA stars who felt aggrieved because of the leadership tussle last time that did not allow us to take part. So I think leadership seems to be the major issue. It seems to be the bane that is gradually taking our basketball into a downward spiral, if you want to put it that way. And for me, I think it's a quite disappointing one.
A disappointing one for Nigerian D Tigers. They couldn't, of course, beat Mali to get that ticket to the Paris 2024 Olympic. But Michael, what does this defeat, of course, means for the Nigerian Basketball Federation?
What it means is that basketball, federation is not up and doing. What it means is that we don't have any hope going forward, when you talk about the Olympic Games. So taking a look at all of this, it should be done on the Nigerian Basketball Federation as well this time around, to go back to the drawing board, make sure they settle all of this issue, because it has lingered for a while now. Though we are not seeing some of this controversy in the public domain, but one thing is certain, that it is behind the scene. They have not gotten it right behind the scene, and that is what we are seeing playing out there right now. So there is need for them to be able to put their house in order, because if we continue in this direction, my brother, we are not heading anywhere. And to be frank with you, that the D Tigers went there to do us proud. Considering the lack of preparation and the short time that it took Ren and Wakama to come in to salvage the situation, men, if luck was not on our side, I assure you, with the shoddy preparation that we had before going for the Women Afro Basketball Championship, I did not see us winning that trophy. So for me, I think it is time for the Nigerian Basketball Association to do the proper thing. So settle all of these issues to make sure that our basketball teams have a new face going forward.
All right, let's keep our fingers crossed and see what comes up. But it's a disappointing one for Nigerian D Tigers. They couldn't make it to the Paris 2024. But Michael, taking a look at it, they've been ousted out, from the qualifiers.
Yeah.
And you take a look at it, the Olympics, you get medals, from different sports, basketball, athletics, swimming, football, and the rest of them. And now the D Tigers not participating in this one. Of course, we're already short of medals.
That is what it simply means. Automatically we have shot, the process of the platform that should have given us at most one medal down there. So we have already even lost a medal.
Winning the getting to the finals would have given us a good medal.
A good medal.
In basketball.
Exactly. So what it means now is that even before the Olympic kicks off, we have already considered one gold medal or one medal. So that is what. No, joke apart. That is what it means, because our presence there would have made some difference. And who knows, if some of our big boys were in this very squad and they qualified and get to the Olympic, I mean, there are potential. There was supposed to be a potential gold medalist or silver medalist at least, but automatically, if you want to take a look at it mathematically now, we have minused ourselves from the medals list, even before the Olympic kicks off. That is what it implies.
And don't forget, we're also struggling to qualify in other sports, especially wrestling. We're still looking for qualification down there. So at this point in time, D Tigers not participating in the Paris 2024 Olympic. It means Nigeria, our strength has been pulled down a bit, but we'll see what comes up. We hope the leadership of the Nigeria Basketball Federation will go back home and see what they will to do to put basketball down here in Nigeria properly. Of course, we don't have a running league in the country, and this is also a reason why we're seeing this poor performance. You take a look at the girls that came to represent the D Tigers. Majority of them are foreign-based players. They're playing in their different, league in the country where they base, and so they are active. They are not rusty.
Exactly.
Understand. And so for me, I think from what we've seen at this point in time, the MBBF, Musakida should try as much as they can to put basketball in order down here in Nigeria, because when it comes to basketball, Nigeria, we're the powerhouse. D Tigers are number one. D Tigers are number one in Africa. So we shouldn't be facing such kind of humiliation, from a country like Mali when it comes to qualifying for the Paris 2024. But just like we mentioned, we hope, of course, all will be well for we to see basketball coming back to limelight in Nigeria. Let's stay away from basketball to take a look at athletics on the show, as Favour Ofili has finally turned a professional athlete, and we hear that Ofili gave the update through her social media handle after she signed a deal with a kit manufacturing company. She has a personal best of 10.39 seconds in the 100 meters and 31.96 seconds in the 200 meters, making her one of the brightest prospects in the events for the future. Now she is listed among the athletes that will present the country in the 200 meters and 4x100 meters relay at the World Athletics Championship in Budapest. Favour Ofili, this one girl, of course, we've seen for the past 2 years. She's been very, very active, when it comes to her duties on the track. But from what we're seeing, at this point in time, she's now a professional athlete. What do you make of it? Can she handle the pressure that comes with you being a professional athlete?
Well, for me, I think she can be able to handle the pressure. Even at her tender age, she has, shown some of this professionalism out there. Now she has, gotten to 18, meaning that she's, officially set to make her professional, career, to get her professional career kick off out there, because different clubs out there will want to come and sign her now, because she can be able to sign a professional, contract right now as it stands. So for me, I think she can be able to handle the pressure, because she has been up and doing. She has been in the headline for the good reasons for a couple of months right now. So for me, I think having done
being a professional athlete actually means, of course, you can participate in any events, the Diamond League, the World Athletic Championship, any athletic meets, you can actually
take part
in all of these events. No, maybe organization necessarily have to sign you. I think what you will get is being an ambassador. Not like she's an ambassador, of course, to a very, very huge brand, assistant, being ambassador to some brand. You're self-sponsor. You sponsor yourself to events. When you win, of course, there are prize money attached to different events, and you get all of this one. So, from what we're seeing, professional status now for Favour Philly, I will hope, of course, she can be able to handle this one and prove herself. And when you're now a professional athlete, the AIU, the Athletic Integrity Unit, of course, they will really, really put their eyes on you. And we hope she'll be able to avoid some of the things that might probably hinder her career, just like what we're talking about, the likes of Toby Amusan, Blessed Okagbari, Grace Wokocha, and the rest of them. Because at that stage, it's really on you to put yourself on the limelight. And so many athletes sometimes go otherwise, to make sure they get what they want. But you should have to put yourself in order. You should have to train to make sure you're able to compete with other athletes coming from other countries as well.
And
but
again,
all right.
And again, this is where the work of the coach comes in as well, to be able to update her with the latest athletic rules time to time, because sometimes she might be so busy and carried away that she will forget some of these things. She need to be kept abreast with the latest development in the world of athletics, so that she will not fall prey to some of these challenges that we are facing, talking about Toby Amoshun, Blessed Okagbare and the rest. She need to be more careful as a professional now. You need to be circumspective about the kind of things that you take in, because sometimes now that you've turned professional, there are some things that you eat then that you can't just expressly take in right now, because the eyes of the AIU will closely watching you now that you've turned professional. So she need to be very careful this time around, and that is why I say the coach and the caregivers as well need to play a whole lot more. Even the Nigerian Athletic Federation as well, need to also play their part by also calling, reaching out to her time to time, to update her some of this, to furnish her with some of this, latest development or latest trend when it has to do with the world of athletics.
All right, of course, everyone is still expecting the verdicts for Toby Amusan at this point in time. Either today or tomorrow, of course, we'll definitely get to hear if she will participate at the World Athletic Championship or she will be left out, at the end or for the day. But Michael, what do your gut feeling tell you about the situation of Toby Amusan?
Well, to be sincere with you, my feeling is that of, would I say, pessimism. Why? Because, we just have barely few days before the big one that is coming out at Budapest. And if the athletic body deems it necessary and they know that the timing is quite short, I expect them to give their verdict, very early, so that if she's clear, she can be able to prepare ahead of the big one that is coming. But they are still delaying it. So for me, I doubt if she can be able to come out very clean in this very one. But let's just hope and keep our fingers crossed, believing that at the end of this whole issue, she's going to come out very clean, because it will be a plus, to our contingent if actually Toby Amosu, join his colleague, her colleagues out there to go and do Nigeria proud. And again, it will be a setback if at the end of the whole thing, she's not cleared to join the contingent that will be going to do us proud. We're going to miss her seriously. But like I said earlier, let's just keep praying, believing that indeed at the end of the whole thing, she's going to see the green lights.
We pray that Toby Amusan, of course, sees the green light. And talking about hope for medal, we just talked about the Tigers. They couldn't make it to the Paris 2024 Olympic, and taking a look at that, strength has been reduced when it comes to grabbing the medals as
Yeah.
well. Toby Amusan is one athlete that is very, very that looks very favorite, anytime, any day,
Yeah.
to give Nigeria medals or a medal. It was his time. But at this point in time, we're at the verge of not having her as the World Athletics Championship. It means, just like you mentioned, we're already losing out, on medals even before we participate at the Paris 2024 Olympic. And Toby Amusan down, it means medals as well
Yeah.
will be reduced for Team Nigeria.
That is what it means, because our strength has reduced as well. And you know what it means, that you have one of your star athletes, not being part of the team. Naturally, there is this feelings when you have your star athletes within the camp. It gives other athletes that confidence and courage going forward. They will have this confidence and boldness because they know that certainly they have their big name behind them. And in the camp, when you have big name, there are so many things that these people bring to the table behind the scene. They actually carries the team along.
True.
By telling the team, these are the things that we need to do to be more successful. Why? Because they've seen it all. So for me, I think if she not take part in this very one, tactically we have minus potential, gold medals or silver medal, whatever medal that would have won if she actually joined, the contingent. Because Toby Amusan, we know her standard, that if indeed she follows or joins the contingent that is going to drop, at least we are sure of getting at least 1 or 2 medals from her. But if she's not going to be part of this one, while we are still waiting for the decision, I think it is a minus on our side. Technically, mathematically, we have, dropped 1 silver medal, from our luck if she's not going to take part. But let's just keep believing, like I said earlier, hoping that, the pattern is going to fall in her favor, because it will be a very bad one if she did not make it through.
All right, let's see how it goes for Toby Amusan, and we pray that, of course, she gets through in this particular one. Let's talk tennis on the show as we hear Britain and the Murray has pulled out for the Cincinnati Open as a bidder to recover in time for the US Open. Former world number 1, who is 36 years, is still suffering from a abdominal strain that forced him out to withdraw from the Canadian Open last week. Murray traveled to Cincinnati and hoped to face Karen Khachanov, but will now be replaced by a lucky loser. Away from that, we hear that Dana Evans and Kamina Norrie, of course, they've been knocked out for the first round for the Cincinnati Open. Evans won his first ATP 500 title at the City Open this month, but was beaten 6-4, 6-3 by Italy Lorenzo Musetti. British number 1 and 13th seed Norrie was defeated 6-3, 4-6, 3-6 by Frenchman Gael Monfils. Now, in the female category, in our first match since losing the Wimbledon final to Czech Marketa Vondrousova on 15th of July, Onshobua secured a 6-3, 6-7, 7-6 win over Ukrainian Helena Kalalina, and was such an impressive one, of course, for Onza Jobwa, and that is a fourth win, since the Wimbledon. What do you make of it? Don't forget, she was at the finals for the Wimbledon, and taking a look at what she's been able to do now is all about the preparation, of course, for the US Open. Onshobua, one lady, Africans, of course, are praying for at the moment. She's gotten to 3 Grand Slam finals, and she's unable to lay her hands on any. But this is another time. She's using the Cincinnati, of course, to put herself in shape. What do you make of her at the US Open?
Well, for me, I will not truly say anything about that because I think she's just using this very one as a warm-up game, while waiting for the big one, talking about the US Open that is coming. And, I think by taking part in this competition, at least she will tend to forget some of, the misfortune that she has had in the past. Don't forget, it's not about a few weeks ago that she just lost that one at Wimbledon. I think that is still playing a whole lot of music in her mind right now. But by taking part actively in this very game, I think she can be able to get off. This one will get off her mind. The misfortune that she has had for a couple of months right now. Getting into 3 major final without laying your hand even on one, you know what that means. So for me, I think this one is just a preparation heading into the big one. But if she can continue to prepare this very way, heading into the big one that is coming forth, I think she's going to make a very strong statement out there.
Other players are also preparing, the likes of Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Iga Swiatek, and the rest of them. They're also preparing for the U.S. Open, and we're looking forward to see an interesting U.S. Open tournament, just like what we saw at the Wimbledon, despite the hitches, rainfall, and curfew, and the rest of them. And let's see how this one, of course, will pan out. But at this point, we take a break, and when we'll come back from the break, we'll dive straight into the beautiful world of football. Please stay with us.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought a very family. Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. It's time to talk football on the show, and we'll start with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, as we hear that the Nigerian Football Federation has confirmed that the talks are ongoing with the Super Eagles head coach Joseph Pesero over a new contract The Nigerian Federation president has now confirmed that the NFF is pursuing to recontract Pesero, but will also make changes to the previous agreements, while urging him to be flexible in if he hopes to continue as the Super Eagles coach. Pesero one-year contract with the NFF expired in June, with the NFF president Ibrahim Musa Gusau declaring that the future of the Portuguese manager would be decided through a public social media poll. And the former Porto and Sporting Lisbon head coach passed the task of qualifying Nigeria to the 2023 African Cup of Nations, doing so with a game to spare after a Navy 3 goals to 2 win over Sierra Leone. Michael, according to the NFF, that talks are ongoing for Yeso Pesero's contract to be renewed. First, do you think Yeso Pesero's contract should be renewed?
For me, I think it should be renewed. Why? Because this is not the time for us to sack him and begin to look for coaches. Why? Because there's no time. Just next month here, we'll kick off the World Cup qualifying games. And again, we'll still have one game to go, talking about the Nations Cup that will be coming up next month. And again, it's sacking him this time around. Does it make any sense to me? I don't think it makes any sense, because in his contract, you give him a mandate to deliver, meaning that he should qualify the country for the forthcoming Nations Cup. Have he delivered on that mandate that has been inserted? It seems like one of the clauses that is inserted into his contract. Of course, he has qualified Nigeria for the Nations Cup, even with one game to spare. So for me, I think the timing is not right for we to sack him now. He might not be the best of the coach that Nigerians need at this point in time. Yeah, I quite agree with that. But which coach do we want to go and bring this time around to be able to come and tinker these boys, to keep them together, organize them in a way that they will go out there in the Nations Cup? The Nations Cup is just by the corner, January. The Nations Cup have kicked off. So if you sack him now, what is that coach that they are going to bring to do the magic by trying to bring these boys and assemble them, make them, blend together before we go for such Nations Cup? So for me, I think it will be wise for him to stay. They should renew his contract, and possibly do one or two adjustments. Probably tell him to include number of home-based players into the squads, because I think this is one of the area where they are concerned. And again, his pattern of play is not all that convincing. You need to adopt a certain pattern of play so that Nigerians will know this is the kind of football that he's playing. Exception of this, I think they should renew his contract, because the time is not there for us to begin to go to the market and begin to source for a more better coach that is more technically sound than him.
All right, let's see what comes up. The NFF are in talks with Jesse Pesero to renew his contract. So in the coming days, we'll be getting the news that Jesse Pesero's contract has been renewed. But Michael, a very huge tax ahead of Jesse Pesero if he finally put his contract right with the NFF. Just like you mentioned, the African Cup of Nations will be coming up, and then the World Cup qualifiers as well. How do you see Jesse Pesero, of course, going through this championship?
Well, if there's one thing that I must give him credit for, is about his passion and readiness, to work with the Nigerian national team. Because don't forget, he even opted to slash down his salary to make sure he stay. And again, he has promised the nation, he has promised the country that he's going to win the forthcoming Nations Cup. With all of this kind of dedication, because like I said, if there is anything that I must give him kudos, it's about his dedication, his passion and willingness to work with the team. So for me, I think that is the angle I'm giving it to him. And with this kind of passion and zeal that he has shown so far, I see him qualifying Nigeria, for the next World Cup, only if he's given the needed support. Because you give him a new contract and you are not paying his entitlement as at when due, yet you are demanding so much from him. I mean, he's going to punch the progress of his his development with the boy. So for me, I think if the proper support is given to him, I tell you, he's going to qualify us for the World Cup.
All right, let's see how it goes. Jesse Pesero on the verge of putting pen to paper for the Super Eagles of Nigeria with the NFF to say at this point, and they'll keep our fingers crossed on that and see how that pans out in the coming days. Let's stay away from the NFF and the Super Eagles as we take a look at the FIFA Women's World Cup as we hear England, of course, spoiled co-host Australia party by booking their place in the Women's World Cup final for they actually beat Australia, of course, to get to the World Cup final for the first time on a historic evening in Sydney, silencing a sellout crowd of Australia in the Australia Stadium down there. We saw, of course, the Lionesses, of course, get down to the finals for the competition. Talking about the FIFA Women's World Cup, it was such an impressive one in that encounter. 3-1, Michael. It's ended, and nobody saw this coming because I thought it was going to be a very, very tight encounter.
Yeah.
Taking a look at what the Australians did against France, getting down to this stage of the competition, and taking a look at the way England have struggled, especially in the group stage of the competition. Down here. Now they're in the final, their very first, final. I don't know what you make of their performances so far, and getting to the final. Do you think is as a result of hard work or luck for the English ladies?
Well, for me, I will not attribute it to luck. I will attribute it to hard work because they worked so hard to get to where they are. So though so many people were not under convinced when they actually started up their first game against was it Sao Tome? I've forgotten Haiti. Now they won 1-0. People were like, this kind of small country, if they could not beat them more than 3 or 4 goals, they don't see England making a very strong statement. And I was one of those person that was in a vast opinion, because I know your first game is always very difficult. What matters in your first game is for you to pick all the 3 points. And in their second game, they won their second game as well with a long goal. In the third game, they won 5-1. And they progressed from there. Like I said yesterday, they seem to be progressing. They get better with each games. And against Nigeria, where we thought maybe they were down by 1 man, and that should have given us the numerical advantage, to host them up. But we couldn't do that. They hold on very strong to their own and even drag us to, extra time. And we could not break the deadlock even at extra time. They drag us to penalty and they won the game. So you could say that hard work has brought them so far. And in the game against Australia, I saw so much, tactical input there. They were so very tactical in that game to the extent that, they had to control the game. But at the time, the pressure was coming from the Australians. They had their home fans as well behind them. But at the end of
and
it all,
key player, Sam
Kerr came back, which was another added advantage. But it wasn't to be, as the English women, draw the first blood at the 37th minute before Sam Kerr, responded with that beautiful goal from outside 18-yard shot. From outside 18-yard rather, and we thought that maybe the Australians will go further to kill off the game, but it wasn't what we see, because in the game of football, if you don't take your chances and your next opponent had even 1 chances are converted, that is it. And England led by 3-1. For me, I think it is their hard work that brought them to where they are. And for the final against Spain, that is going to be a very big one, because the Spanish women, they are very tactical. The kind of football they play. They play this kind of tiki-taka football that is very easy for you to mark one person out, because if you say you want to mark one person out, the next player will cause the damage. So it's going to be a very interesting one, and I hope to see the best of beautiful football. And again, one of their star women will be coming back, talking about James here,
James.
because she has completed her 2-match ban. That one will also serve as an added advantage to the English Lioness. But in the final against Spain, it's a 50-50 game, but I give the Spanish women more chance to go through in that one and lift it.
All right, let's tease. Don't forget the Lionesses, they are European champion, and now they're coming to conquer the world. Let's see how it goes as well for them. And they're talking about their coach, Serena Wigman. She's one lady, of course, that has put up a very good tactical display in this championship, and she's the only female coach remaining in the FIFA Women's World Cup this time around. We'll see, of course, if she can actually put up another history, for herself in this one.
Yeah.
But today, Manchester City against Sevilla in the Super Cup. And one man in that Manchester City side, talking about Kevin De Bruyne, he's down, and we hear he'll be out for 4 months, as it is. So his team, City, of course, they'll be looking against Sevilla in the Super Cup. What the absence of the man, talking about De Bruyne, affects the game plan of Pep going into this one.
Well, I would say yes, but not all that, because we know the kind of coach that is saddled with the responsibility at Manchester City. He's a coach that can twist things around. He can tweak his formation and still get the best out of his opponent. But without Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield, sure, they will surely miss him because of those killer passes. He has been able to form this synergy with Erling Haaland, that he can even close his eyes and determine the position to which he's going to put the ball through for Haaland to put it behind the back of the net. They will truly miss Kevin De Bruyne in this very game. But I see that again, Manchester City, I think they have the quality. They can go into their arsenal as well, reinvent new things, that can be able to prosecute this game. But I think it's going to be a very tough one against Sevilla. Don't forget, Sevilla is a very strong team. They are not just pushover, because we've seen what they've been able to do in Europa over the years, clearly telling you that when it has to do with that angle, there seems to be master, there seems to be fortress on their own. So it's going to be a very keenly contested game. And one thing very striking that you must note is that each time any Spanish team comes against the English team, the English team find it very difficult to cope with the Spanish team. I don't know why, but over the years, statistics and record have shown it very clear that the English teams, they always find it difficult to cope with Spanish team anytime they meet in any competition. So for me, I think it's going to be a very cagey one, but I see Manchester City going through this one very well.
All right, let's see how it goes for Manchester City tonight against Sevilla. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see what comes up from that one. But let's stay away from Europe as we take a trip now to America. And it's happening there at the moment as Inter Miami captain Lionel Messi has expressed happiness after leading his team to beat Philadelphia 4-1 in Tuesday League Cup tie at Sabaru Park. Inter Miami opened the scoring through Joseph Martinez in the opening stages of the encounter before Messi doubled the lead for Gerardo Martino's side after just 20 minutes into the clash. Jerry Alba made it 3-0 for Miami before halftime. However, Alejandro Bedoya scored the goal for Philadelphia in the second half before David Ruiz extended the lead for Inter Miami to ensure they qualify for the League Cup final. Inter Miami will now face Nashville in the League Cup final on Sunday. And of course, Lionel Messi was very, very happy with that impressive performance from his side. And talking about the man, he has now scored 9 goals and has provided 1 assist in 6 matches so far in the Inter Miami team.
Great game, great player, you must say. One who can never take away from the spotlight for the good reason what he has been able to bring into the world of the round leader game, talking about football here. Messi, any day, anytime, he will always deliver wherever he finds himself. That is a kind of quality that many teams are missing out there. And for me, I'm not surprised because, it seems that the MLS League
is very easy for him.
It's very easy for him. But I think if he's not all that good as a good player, he will still find it very difficult. He's just showing his quality out there because if you actually watch the match, you know that those playing with him, they are not child's players as well. They are also professional as well. But it's just that Messi have the edge because he's a master of the game. Because this is one man that you can never hide. In any game at all, he must always prove himself, and that is what we've seen from him. The Messi effect is taking the MLS League in storm. 9 goals in 6 games with 1 assist. Incredible
if you ask me. And this point in time, of course, moving down to the MLS, right from the first game, he started scoring the goal. He didn't even actually look for time to adapt. Yeah, exactly. You know, immediately he started giving the goals and the performance. Hit the ground running. You see, you know, at this point in time. And do you think the likes of Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, of course, playing for the Inter Miami side, actually give the team, you know, this shape we're seeing now? Because before the presence of Messi, Busquets, and Alba, they were not that fantastic.
Yes, of course. When you have one or two qualities within the rank, and these are people that you've played with before, so you understand the chemistry is there. They came in and blended with you because these are people that you've played with before. You know, both Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, they were all in Barcelona. You know, that squad, 2009, 2010, 2011. You know how formidable they were. That anybody squaring up against Barcelona then. What we do ask is, what is the score? What is the score, and not about who win then, because you definitely that Barcelona is going to win. But what is the goal margin? So these are the kind of players that were there in that squad. And, injecting two of those players into MLS, into Inter Miami team with Messi coming in, I mean, that is a perfect match. And I think the chemistry between these three players have helped the club a whole lot.
Let's stay away from that, and let's talk about the friend of Lionel Messi. This time he didn't choose to go to America, but he chose to go to where the money is at the moment. We're talking about Neymar Jr. The man has moved to Al Hilal at the moment, and a whole lot of person are taking a look at his legacy, what he's been able to do, especially at Paris Saint-Germain. I don't know what you make of his stay at Paris Saint-Germain. Will you actually target his success? He went down there since 2017, and up to now, that's about almost 5 seasons. You will see for Neymar Jr. Take a look at what he's done so far. Will you tag his stay as PSG a success?
Well, for me, I would say yes. I would tag his stay at PSG a success. A man who played 173 games for PSG and was able to rack in 118 goals with 70-something assists, winning 13 trophies at the process. Out of those 13 trophies, 5 is the League One. The other remaining 8 are League Cups. So for me, I think his stay at PSG is very successful. Playing 173 games, scoring 118 goals, giving 70-something assists. I mean, it's massive for me. That is success. Because for the fact that he did not, win the Holy Grail, I mean, talking about the Champions League, doesn't mean that his stay at PSG was not successful. He had a very successful stay, very successful stint at PSG. There are other big-name players who have played at their prime, at their peak, yet they could not win the Champions League, but yet they are great players as well. The likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he played all that he did, but never won the champion. I can go on and roll out some top star names in the world of football, that had a great career, but they never lifted the Champions League. So not lifting the Champions League does not boil down to Neymar alone, because one man cannot do it. And again, I think PSG got it all wrong. By assembling arrays of world-class players doesn't necessarily guarantee you titles. That's to go down. I think this is where they start the real project. Letting all these big names go. Bringing a coach that can be able to rely on the young squad, talking about Luis Enrique. So for me, I think Neymar, I would say he had a very successful stay, at PSG. And now going to the Saudi Pro League, I think it is a wise decision. At 31, he has seen it all at Europe. Started at Santos, played 225 games, scoring 135 goals. From there, coming to Barcelona, playing 180-something games, scoring 105 goals. From there, he moved to PSG, playing 173 games, banging in 118 goals. I mean, he has fulfilled all that he needs to do in Europe, for me, at his age, 31. After all, we have some other players that are below even 25. Yet they are going to the Saudi Pro League.
Everyone was tipping Neymar to win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, definitely, and that is one of the reasons.
At least that would have actually crowned all what he has done.
Yeah, definitely, I will say yes to that. But looking at the era where two people, two great players, monopolize, do I call it duopoly of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi? For over 16 to 17 years, these two players dominated the scene. How do you see such a player to come into the fray? If not for, was it Luka Modric that was able to break that duopoly between Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi? Who else did it? So for me, I think we should cut him the slack of not winning the world best. He did his best. It is one of the reasons why he had to leave Barcelona, because according to him then, he did not want to stay under the shadow of Lionel Messi. That is why he left to PSG. But, he got to PSG, there seems to be another star man there that even overshadow him, talking about Kylian Mbappe. And again, the way they handle Kylian Mbappe like a delicate stuff, make it look as though Neymar is just an ordinary player, whereas he was supposed to be the star man there. So for me, I think if he did not win the world best, it is not a yardstick to judge his performances out there in Europe.
Interesting. Let's say it goes for Neymar Jr. and we'll look forward to see befitting outing as well for him at Hilal in Saudi Arabia. Let's take a look at transfers. Manchester City have accepted an undisclosed offer from Al Nassr for Spain defender Emerick Laporte. The 29-year-old made 43 starts during the 2021 and 2022 season, but coach Pep Guardiola used Manuel Akanji and Natanaki more often during City treble winning season. Emerick Laporte, of course, Pep didn't really fancy him in most of the matches last season, and I think at this point you just want to let him go.
Yeah, great one for both of them. So because you can't keep a player of such a quality in the bench and you expect him to be patient for 1-2 seasons and you are not playing him week in, week out, I mean, it is best decision for the both parties to go, because I also learned that Arsenal came calling, but I think Pep prefers sending him to the Saudi Pro League than selling his player to his immediate rivals. As a good coach, a good tactician, you wouldn't want to make such mistakes by letting one of your best players to go to your opposite, immediate opponent. So for me, I think it is a nice decision for both of them.
And we hear Chelsea have agreed a deal to sell winger Hakim Ziyech to Galatasaray. We'll see how that one will pan out with the coming days. But at this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. And a special thanks to Michael for doing justice to the issues we have on our menu this evening.
It's always a pleasure doing this with you, Kingsley.
And we can't go with chat. Tell you that Serena Wigman, of course, she is our sport extraordinaire for taking the Lionesses of England to the finals or for the FIFA